she stands on the bar, and she's singing her ABCs, and she's going to stop when she falls out. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, please fall off, H, I. She's going to give me a word that starts with the letter I. What do you have for me? Incredible. Now you have it. Incredible, right? Then she can get back in line. This is like, you can grab a floor bar in about 2 seconds, right? Or floor bars are easy enough to grab that little kids might be able to, as long as they know where they're going. Grab it, and you can have 2 of them, right? Have each person go. A, B. You can have your friends sing their ABCs for them, right? Does this give you kind of an idea of like just different ways to use your ABCs to time things?
Yeah, actually, Taylor, I do it similarly, like anything that requires strength, like maybe like a plus sport or something. Do your ABCs when your arms are tired, and then tell me an animal that starts with that letter.
Exactly. I'll do this a lot in rotations, but a lot of like strength holds. You know how everyone, you want to do a chin hold on bars, but no one's going to do a 2-minute chin hold for your whole station? Same thing, have them hold their ABCs, they get to the letter F, they come over and they tell you flamingo. That is so exciting to them, and it gives them an extra purpose. You didn't have to do anything extra, you didn't have to grab anything, it's literally just their ABCs. I mean, like I did this with my Flippin' Out Junior, so I have like a 5-year-old that was able to do this. And I also have one kid that is on the spectrum in that class, so it is usually really hard for him, and he was able to like, he was so excited. He got to the letter C. And do you know how many C words he came up with that day? A lot. So I do think you could do this with any level. But my next one I think is going to be better for younger kids. This would not be overly ideal. You could do it with older kids. They're going to think it's boring though. You guys are going to be little 3 and 4-year-olds. Can you guys do that? Okay, line up on the line. This is when you're trying to set up stations. You need to go grab a mat, but you can't let your kids stand here and do nothing, right? Let's play a game to pay attention, right? I'm going to go over and grab my mat from well over yonder, right? You have to watch me. Anytime I turn around, you have to salute, but you're not allowed to salute until I turn around. Got it? So this would be good for little kids to work on paying attention and listening. So if I walk away and I'm like, whoop, okay, yep, and I just keep walking, and right, and you can build this harder. Spread out a little bit each time I turn around. A little handstand. Okay, here we go. I'm walking away, I'm gonna grab my mat. Right? Because they're only working when they're being supervised. They have something to do, and you're still getting your thing done. Right? So just something, and like, that's good for just getting little kids to hopefully try to pay attention. It's not going to be perfect. You guys did almost too good of a job, but that is something that you can do. Another thing is partner items. Even if you have an uneven number, I would have, Jane, I was first in line. Can I let Anthony go first? Okay, she's going to come up in front of the person in front of her. They're going to go to a push-up position. You have to high five 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, Anthony, move down to the next person. All right, Jane, you're on call. And then we'll just rotate through in a circle. Any type of partner item. And it doesn't even have to be one at a time. If you have an even number, have them do sit-ups and high-five each other. How many high-fives can you give each other by the time I get back with 2 max? Does that make sense? Like, give them something that will just entertain them. It's really easy to entertain kids if you just like take a step back and realize it's not as overwhelming to set up if you can just get them going on something a little bit easier. Adrian?
Similar one would be a plank tunnel. They have to like arm and crawl, under, front down.
Yes. Any type of holding, we've done it where like maybe like they do a bridge and it's like a climb through, bridge up, climb through, bridge up. Any partner item, right? Okay, you guys, thank you so much. You worked super hard on that. I do appreciate it. Other ideas that you can quickly, like there's cards all over the gym. You can find a deck of cards probably just in anywhere because sometimes it's a mess in here. Say I'm setting up, I have cards in my pocket. There you go, grab a card. That's how many jumping jacks you have. Got it? How many cards can you guys collect by the time I set up 4 stations? All right, 9 jumping jacks, there go. Right, and it can be any item, anything that's reasonable. Got it? And they probably aren't going to realize that they're going to do about 100 jumping jacks by the time I get back. But it's fine because they're getting carbs, and that's what's important. Right? So any type of prop, I try to only grab, yeah, you guys can stop. I try to only grab things that we have handy that's everywhere. We have dice all over the place. So same thing, you can do, grab a dice, roll, if they're a little bit older, let them pick the items. Say, here are your options, straight jump, tuck jump, split jump. You get to pick. Eve, what's your choice? Tuck jumps. We roll the dice, we get a 5. Everyone has 5 tuck jumps. Let the next person pick and roll. This is all stuff that they can be doing on their own while you're setting up or trying to figure out where to go. It doesn't take a lot of space. Like, we really could just do this right here. Make sense? All right. Another thing you can do is variations. The other day, I had about, I think, 12 kids, and we were scheduled up on the front floor. It was a little too busy. I didn't have time to set up stations. We just did variations of everything. So it started, what do we do? It was 3 of each type of cartwheel they could think of. And at first, they were like, what do you mean? And I said, well, bad leg cartwheel, one-arm cartwheel, kneeling cartwheel. And for some kids, that's really hard. Like, that's pretty advanced. But if you put it in their plate to come up with a cool cartwheel, I bet you they'll do it. Right? Like, we came up with some really cool acro skills because I said, I need the coolest cartwheel you can do. Right? Just do variations. I know that you're going to have them work on cartwheels anyway. Let them have fun with it. It shouldn't be boring. There's tons of types of cartwheels. Same thing, handstands. They can try some headstands, some elbow stands, right? Try to incorporate the variations. So if you spread them out and you were going to have them just do cartwheels until you grabbed mats anyway, instead, can you guys do 2 different types of each handstand you can think of? Can you start with that? All right, 2 normal handstands, and then it's all you. And truly, kids are really creative. A lot of times, I'll get a good idea that comes from a kid, right? I'll be like, hey, I need you to do this in this station. What do you think about? What are you thinking here? They'll come up with really good ideas. We can come up with some cool skills. And then another thing with this is on the way out, when you're leaving class, you can say, oh, tell me your favorite variation of handstand. They'll tell you, oh, I did an elbow handstand. They can walk out, and you know what they're going to tell their parent they did today? Cool handstands. So just little things that you can do in place. You can do anything with props. So a lot of times I see around the trampoline that will do conditioning holds or just some kind of conditioning where it's Eve gets 30 seconds on the trampoline, everyone else is doing jumping jacks. And then you rotate. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I do think you can just make it a little bit more fun if they just have a prop, right? So grab a scarf, grab a foam. Instead of just doing lemon squeezers, if they pass it between their hands and their feet, is that a little bit more exciting than just doing that? So anytime you can incorporate a prop, that is always going to help them do whatever you want them to do. Make sense? Does anyone have anything on this topic? Adrian's had some really good ideas. Does anyone else have any really good ideas that they do when they're in a crunch or don't have space or whatnot? Victoria?
I tend to just have them show a friend. I'll be like, everybody find a friend, and you guys are going to show each other your best cartwheels. And then that friend can be like, oh my gosh, that was so awesome. And you have to like teach them to support each other. Like after they do what you think is the best cartwheel, you're going to give them a round of applause or like a high five. Like your friend has to give you a high five after you show them your best handstand. You're going to try and get your knees together and show your friend how you can get your knees together. So if you like give them somebody else to watch them so that they're like working together, that tends to really give them some motivation to like, I can show my friends how amazing I am at this skill.
Then they try to one up each other.
Yeah, then they're trying to beat each other. Plus, they're going to do a million turns.
Right.
Because there's nothing more exciting than showing your friend what you can do. I'll tell you that. Do you have something?
Do you ever experience where someone's not as supportive or like, oh, that actually wasn't a good cartwheel? So what do you do when it
I'm
comes
sure
to
we
that?
have. You just have to remind them that like, hey, that wasn't very nice. And if someone said that to you, I think they'd be really upset. So let's just make sure we're giving each other compliments.
Or I will tell them it's legally required to give them a compliment after it's finished. If you say legally required before anything, a kid will do it. No, it's surprising, especially with you people. I'll be like, oh, you're legally required to give them a compliment and a high five after they finish. Do you understand? They'll always do it, I promise you that. So don't ask them to give corrections. That's where things will go, I think, poorly. But I need you to pick out 2 things that you really liked in her handstand. And I'll be like, oh, her toes were pointed, or something like that. So showing a partner is really good. Oh, Addie. Oh, that's a really good one.
Can you repeat it, Taylor? Sorry.
Yeah, I can't hear it.
Do you want to repeat it? She does not want to repeat it. What she's saying is she'll say, these are the 3 mats, I need you 3 skills on each one, right? You can kind of give them a choice of maybe they'll forward roll on this one and then do a handstand on another one. Am I getting the right point across here? Kind of putting it in their hands. I'll do a color game. I do this for warm-up anytime I'm not prepared for a warm-up. It'll be each blue mat on this floor, you have to do 2 jumping jacks next to. See ya. Then we'll run around and do 2 jumping jacks at each thing, right? And then each time that for each green mat, you have to do 1 V-up right next to it. Right? Things that can get them started while you gather your thoughts and can rearrange your stations. Another fun game and just paying attention game. You guys, you have 3 seconds to put 1 pinky on something black. Go. 3, 2, 1. This is just good to see who's paying attention, because you'll know who's like, everyone's touching something and there's one person that's like, oh my god, where did my friends go? It happens all of the time. But a color game is really good. I'll tell them to try to find something made of specific materials. You guys have 5 seconds to put 1 foot on something made of wood. 5, 4, right? Challenge the little ones. Like, they need to know some of these things. Not that it's super important, they're not going to learn it, but there's nothing wrong with helping them out a little bit ahead of time. You guys have 5 seconds to put your thumb on something metal. 5, 4. Good. Now try to find a name, or find a mat that has the first letter of your first name on it. This is a hard one. I do this one actually a lot. They'll go around and start reading all the little warning signs. And they'll be like, oh, I found a J. All the time I'll do this. It's actually really fun. But this is something that I can spit these things out right while I'm trying to set up stations really quick. Or you've done everything today. You've done all your events and you have 10 minutes to kill. Play a quick game. You guys have 1 forward roll on each cheese mat you can see on this floor.
I feel like
Oh, sure.
my kids aren't
Does that make sense? Is that kind of easy enough? All right. Yes, Janessa?
What if you have like the wildest class and like if I gave them the like go do a roll on each cheese mat, like they'd all go to the same one and roll on top of each other.
Survival of the fittest.
Just natural consequences for going for it.
Yes.
All right.
I'm just kidding. No, there's like some things that you have to like prepare them for. Like if I'm gonna do something and I know there's only 2 cheese mats, you have to tell them to look around or take turns. Also, if you have the world's rowdiest class and that's why you can't set up, tire them out. They just have too much energy. My ultimate goal, I hope Mason's not over here, of my Flippin' Out Junior class is just to tire them out. That is my first and foremost goal, is to get all of their energy out as soon as they come in so that I can actually teach something and they can pay attention.
Taylor, another idea could be, we do the Springfest warm-up stretch thing during Springfest, but if it's not Springfest, you could still do the little warm-up song and just put that on while you're grabbing.
Oh, that is true. Our warm-up
Like,
playlist stays on year-round, so if you want to throw that on.
I mean, don't do that every time. That's not good.
No, but it's similarly, you could also just throw on a second zap, right? There's every single phone out here has a second zap, and everyone has at least a 30-second timer with some kind of break. You can turn that on, and they can come up with their own variations, or every time you hear it switch, yell over, we're doing jumping jacks. Let them listen to the music, they're going, it stops. That's another thing that you can throw on really fast and you don't really have to do anything for. But the warm-ups are really good. And you can even come up with your own warm-up at camp. I think on Tuesday, I played the song Sucker by Jonas Brothers, and they had to all just stand perfectly on a line. They were allowed to dance, but they couldn't leave their line. And every time I said the word sucker, they had to do a forward roll and run back to their line really quick. You can just throw that song on and walk away. Same thing like Taylor Swift's Bad Blood or Shake It Off. Anything that repeats itself a million times, just throw that song on. And that's another way to see if they're paying attention. It's like a good listening game. Every time it says shake it off, you have 3 jumping jacks. It's that easy, and just let them do it. Go do your thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, so some of ours are preset to like, there's some that will just play like our warm-up songs and it's the same ones. But if you play Spotify, for example, and then you turn an app on, it'll say, do you want to continue listening to external music? And you can leave that on. Yep, and
It just doesn't pause the music. That's the only bad thing.
yeah, the
So,
only thing is if you're using the external music, it does not pause.
like
But it does have pretty loud
talks over it
beeps.
or whatever. But
Yeah, you'll know it. It'll do like beep, 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 exercise 1. And you can have it say, I have like a couple pre-made ones in there. Like I have a camp one, and it's like the first one's jumping jacks. And everything's already in there, so I don't even have to stand there and tell them what to do, right? It'll say jumping jacks, and then it'll say rest. That's something really good that you can do really fast. Yeah. Oh, that is another good way. If you're able to plan out ahead of time, that's a really good thing. I like to do categories like that too because it helps me challenge myself. I'll do a full day where I do dice only, right? The other day I did a beam rotation with popsicle sticks. Like they just grabbed a popsicle stick and went. And then afterwards, after they finished, they got to then build or write out something with their popsicle sticks. So that's a good way to do it. If you do a game like that, say they got cards for everything, this would be a little bit harder, but say they were going to play war, bring them over to your next event, have them play while you're setting up. It's like a 2-for-1. They're getting the game that they were going to play anyway, and you're using that time to set up. Ooh, Jenga's a great game if you guys have Jenga blocks. Like at least here we have like 3 different containers of them. Another thing that you can do in a small space doing nothing, or like while you're getting set up, is have them sit in a plank hold and build the Jenga together. Because it's really hard because they have to move their arms back and forth. They're getting some strength in, it's some coordination, and they're building a game. So that is another thing. A lot of things are like little props. Like you just have to like, once you find something that works for you, take it and run with it, then get creative with it. But you gotta figure out what works for you. What works for me is not always gonna be the exact same for everyone else. Like these add-on stations are my lifesavers. I will never set up stations without doing add-on, because there's just no need to have them stand there while I set up all of my stations, right? Say I have 7 kids and I do wanna do 7 stations, I'll put 3 and 4 on a station and have them just start there while I'm building, right? So just try to like use your time a little more efficiently when you're setting up stations. Another thing is when you know you're getting ready to rotate events, you've been on bars for 20 minutes, start scanning, start looking. You kind of get in the groove of things. Like for a while when I was doing rec classes, I'd be like, ooh, you know what? I know Victoria's been over there for about 20 minutes. I bet she only has no more than 10 minutes left, right? Try to keep an eye on those things and plan before you go to the water fountain, and then you turn around and you're like, oh my God, there's someone on every single event. You should kind of like, as you're walking to the water fountain, be like, oh, yep, I do see a little space here. I can at least start there and talk to this coach and see if they're switching. And also, like, communicate effectively with each other. If you see someone looking around and they're like, oh my God, I don't know where to go, I'm going to walk over and be like, hey, do you need a spot? Do you want me to play a game real quick while you find something? Like, we can all help each other out. Like, if I know Victoria has no floor space, let's play a quick game together. Even if it's both of our kids are doing one of our side stations and I'm helping her set up stations. You just have to help each other, watch out for each other, and you gotta look at where you're going before you go there. That's the worst thing. is when you're like, I'm doing floor after bars and I don't care what happens, and then you turn around and both floors are taken. You have to look at those and prepare ahead.
Or you can send one of your kids over as soon as you're like gonna be
Oh yes, send a kid over and scout it out. That is a good thing. So if I was leaving here and I was going to go over to the rope, and I see, I'm going to say, Jane, hey, go stand by the rope. We're going to come meet you over there. You don't actually have to go.
ask the coach, hey, I was trying to
Yes, or send a kid and say,
so that we're not going over there. The kids
yes,
over there.
Miss Jessica wants to know how much longer you have over here, right? Send a kid instead of you being like, you just, the worst thing is when you look like you're panicking or you look like you don't know where to go. There is half the time you can walk through this gym and be like, wow, there's literally no space in here. But as long as you look confident, it's actually a lot better than like when you're like, oh, because some people do look like that. Adrian, I'm just kidding. And it's hard. I mean, there's always a lot of people in here, so you just gotta talk to each other. And I'm pretty sure if I sent a kid to Victoria's group and I said, how much time do you have? That's kind of giving her a cue that like, oh hey, I'm getting desperate. Either I'm gonna let her share or I should move and let her come here. So just try to be like, you're not the only class in here. We should try to be considerate of other classes. Yes, and it's not like a full, because then you also have the other extreme of, I plan on doing 20 minutes of bars and then I will do 10 minutes of beam and 5 minutes of vault. You come in with your specific plan like that, Murphy's Law says that you are not going to get any of these events because you planned it, right? Like you have to be able to adapt with your plan as well. Yeah. I actually did talk to, I think, like 2 people this week. I was like, hey, I think the kids are a little young to walk to the water fountain by themselves. Maybe we can line up and designate a leader. So that actually does make a big difference. Also, please utilize the team coaches. Like, our upper level excels and 5-6s can move a porta pit. So if you're like, I really gotta get to vault, but there's no space. I am happy to send my kids who are here for 2.5 hours rather than 55 minutes. They can run over, get you a porta pit and a springboard so you have something to do to keep going, right? So like, use the team groups that are around. We are here to help you. You guys get priority, truly. Like sometimes there are some things that team groups do need when it's routine season or we're really working specific skills, but generally it's an easier fix for us to adjust than it is for you. So just come to us and we can help you with that. Anything else to add? Do you guys have any other games? Do you have any suggestions? Do you have any questions? We do have a spreadsheet of games. Thanks, Lisa. But there is a spreadsheet of games of like, oh, here are 10 ways to use a Connect 4 board. Read them, right? So if you are looking for any ideas for that, let me know. It's a Google Sheets, so it can be anyone's spreadsheet. I don't know whose it is, but I have it. Like, I can share it to anyone. I'll share it. I'll print some out too, maybe leave some master copies so that if you're here a few minutes early and you're like, I really need to switch up my class this week or switch up my warm-up, yeah, maybe I'll try to print out, and because there are some easy, some medium, and some hard ones, so maybe we can print those out and put them up on the board so that, because sometimes you don't want to tell someone that you don't know what to do. There's sometimes where I'm like, oh God, Victoria, I've done vault 4 times this week, I cannot do it again. I was like, I don't know what to do. Do you have some ideas? Generally, if we work together, work with someone else, you have some ideas, but also there's nothing worse than being like, oh God, I've got nothing. Just go look at one of the games or one of the, something like that. we just have to really be better about using each other, because everyone has really good ideas and everyone has a thing that works for them. We need to share all of that together. Good? Questions, comments, concerns? Mika?
No, we don't say sorry. We love educating.
Our goal is to have them try to go warm up this way, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I almost never take my Wildcats over here. It's like if there's like if there, I have my one Wildcats and it never
But with
comes
that
over
being
here.
said, some days, like the early Wildcats, this is
Right.
open.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Wildcats are in the middle of teen kids vaulting.
Right.
So there is the
If
exact
this
opposite where like,
Wildcats open over here, this is fantastic.
yes, I used to have a team warm up for 30 minutes scheduled in the tot area because there was specifically no classes at that time and we knew that in the schedule. So you can bring any class over here if you're not interfering with tots, right? It's the same thing as your everyday person that feels like they need to go to the level 2 stack mats with their pinks that can't use a springboard at all, right? It's the same idea, like it's more appropriate for them to stay over here. Not that you can't do it, more appropriate. But you can really use anything. Like I did a boys rotation with my girls the other day. Get creative with what you're doing. All right, good job team. Round of applause, thank you, and goodbye.